Yeah. Hi guys, Louis in the UK. I got Tino with me. I'm just gonna help him out. We've just been for a long drive. We've been for a 2-hour drive because it's my son's 16th birthday, and we went and picked up his bicycle from Bristol.
From Macca.
Yes, right. And then we had some on the way back. We stopped and had some food and strawberries. Anyway, just if you don't know me, my name's Louis. This is Tino. He's 4. I'm a lifelong Elvis fan.
And we got crispy.
Yeah, we got some crisps for Tino. And at the moment, the hot topic is obviously Elvis, but Priscilla and Jerry Schilling. I've had a few messages saying to me that Jerry Schilling and Priscilla have been on and off seeing each other since way back in the 60s. At first, I didn't believe it, but then I started looking into it, and I'm now thinking it's actually possible. So I did a part 1 of this before we went off to get the bike, and I had to stop because we had to shoot off because we promised we'd collect the bike at 2 o'clock. So I just want to say this about Jerry Schilling. Obviously, we know the history. They met each other in 1954. They used to play football together. I think Jerry Schilling was only 12, and he was immediately taken by Elvis and really hoped that he would become Elvis's friend. They've had many years together. They were very close. We know that Elvis bought Jerry Schilling a house. We know that Jerry Schilling was very close to Lisa Marie and very close to Priscilla. And I even know that Elvis had told Jerry Schilling off for becoming too friendly with Priscilla. And I've seen that in interviews by Jerry Schilling. So I'll be honest with you, I've always thought Jerry Schilling was a nice guy. He always seems to have come across as one of the more genuine friends that Elvis had. But I will say this. It is possible that Jerry Schilling has had an affair on and off with Priscilla, and it could have happened way back in the 60s. It could have happened in the 70s. It could be happening now as we speak. Now, please let me know what your opinions are on whether or not that's possible. Am I talking rubbish? Is there no way that Jerry would do that to Elvis? Is there no way that that Priscilla and Jerry Schilling had fallen in love? We know that Jerry Schilling escorted Lisa Marie to the Golden Globe Awards. Yeah, so Connie, obviously you don't believe it, but what it is, Connie. Hi, Connie. I'm in Weston-super-Mare near Bristol in the UK, and I understand that you don't agree, Connie, but I just want to say something that I thought it was rubbish as well. Yeah, but then I started looking into it. I started looking at all the messages I'm getting, and a lot of people are saying it. A lot of people. Yeah. Don't forget, we've also got people saying that Priscilla has been seeing Tom Jones sometimes. And now when I first heard that, I was like, no way, no way. But when you start digging deep and you start reading all the different comments, you do wonder. You do wonder. Anyway, I'm going to use this as an opportunity to just talk about Jerry Schilling's life. So, Tina, you have to be a bit quiet, mate. So I'm just going to read. There's an interview here with Jerry Schilling. I thought we would just chat about him and just see how it goes. Now, remember, I'm not against Jerry Schilling. Seems like a nice guy. I just want to know if there's any truth to it, because I'll be honest with you, if there is truth that Jerry and Priscilla have on and off had romances, it's out of order. It's wrong. You don't do that to a friend. And same with Priscilla. If there's any truth to it, it's wrong. And I say the same about Tom Jones as well. If there's any truth to it, I don't agree with it. Elvis would be turning in his grave. And I do know that it's 100% proven that Elvis did not like Jerry Schilling getting too close to Priscilla. And it did happen. They did have conversations that Elvis was uncomfortable with. That is a fact, because Jerry has said it himself from his own words in his interviews. And I've watched many of Jerry Schilling's interviews, dozens of his interviews. Right, Jerry Schilling. There was a long period of time after Elvis passed away, professionally or publicly, I didn't talk about Elvis, and I tried to go on with my life professionally. There was no way I could ever make up for the loss of Elvis personally. And I know that Jerry truly loved Elvis, guys. I know it. He loved him from the bottom of his heart. I've watched his interviews, and 100% he loved Elvis. But he's a human being, and we all make mistakes. I will say that. And I know that Elvis bought Jerry Schilling his house, which he's very proud of, and that he lives in now. I know Jerry Schilling has forged his own career, right, managing bands like the Beach Boys, amongst others. So let's have a look. I had a management company, so this is Jerry Schilling. I was managing the Beach Boys and Jerry Lee Lewis and worked with Billy Joel. I was more fortunate than some of my friends that didn't have those alternatives. I never expected to lose Elvis, especially at a young age. About 10 years, I went to work for Elvis Enterprises and Creative Affairs and directed. I also got to work as a producer. I produced about 9 documentaries on Elvis, shows like Elvis, The Great Performances. So he's asked, what does your book tell us about Elvis that others have been unable to convey? Right, I'm going to see what he says here. But I will just say, when he says, I never expected Elvis to die so young, well, he was with Elvis a lot. He must have known that Elvis was very unwell, had some serious illnesses. We know Elvis was very unwell. He had heart problems. He had stomach problems. He had eye problems. He must have known that Elvis was over-medicating and that he was using medication to wake up and go to sleep and to keep him awake. So to say that he didn't expect Elvis to die so young, I'm surprised by that comment, because Elvis had been revived before, and it was well known by the Memphis Mafia just how unwell Elvis was. So Jerry must have known. I know that Jerry was on and off, wasn't he? He would leave working for Elvis, but then he would come back. Then he would leave again, then he would come back. Anyway. So Jerry Schilling is asked the question, what does your book tell us about Elvis and the others have been unable to convey? So they're basically saying, everyone's writing books about Elvis. Why is yours any better? Right, Jerry Schilling. I had gone back to Memphis. They had done a national search to find a president and CEO of the Memphis Music Commission, and I got the job. So there we are. Jerry Schilling got the job of president of the Memphis Music Commission. I haven't heard of that. No, come on, Tino. Look, these people here. You have to be quiet, right? You have to give it to me. Come on, I want to let you do it, but you can't be noisy because the people watch them. You're going to break it now. He's a cheeky monkey. Tino, you are a cheeky monkey. Right. Right, let's keep looking, guys. Where we are. Right. He's so cheeky. He's cheeky but cute. Let's have a look. I had gone back to Memphis. They had done a national search. All right, this is where he gets the job as Memphis Music Commission. And a job was unbelievable. I did that for over 3 years. And as my term was up, I came back to LA. My wife got very sick for a short period of time. I stayed with her and we were talking about our lives. I thought maybe I could write something on my life and Elvis. But I thought there's been so much written on Elvis. Could I do something that was not overdone, as I would tell my wife stories, and I felt there was a reason to do a book. I had become very close. Elvis and Peter Guralnick, when he was doing his book on Elvis, The Last Train to Memphis. Have any of you read that, The Last Train to Memphis? And then another one called Careless Love. If I was going to do it, I wanted to do it a first-class basis and honor my friend. Fair enough. I spent 6 months doing a proposal with my co-writer, Chuck Crisaful. We put together chapter 4, which was about when I went to work for Elvis and the bus drive from Memphis to LA. So they must have gone for a bus drive from Memphis to LA. And I was pleased with it. I felt that Chuck got my voice what was really important to me was not to write a book about my life with Elvis as who I am today or what happened in the last 3 decades. I wanted to go back to who I was then, a shy guy who was happy to be with Elvis. I really wanted to do this work as a piece of history. And I can tell that Jerry Schilling did have a shy side to him. He did. Yeah. You can't really see that picture very well. But also, there's this iconic view of Elvis, and that's wonderful. But I thought a big thing was missing here, which was the human side of it. I really felt I knew that side. I was very fortunate to experience it, the human side of Elvis. I realized about 3 years ago that I had a book that would be a good historical record of Elvis as a human being. Okay, the first time I heard of Elvis was WHBQ's Red, Hot and Blue radio show. Did any of you guys listen to WHBQ's Red and Hot and Blue radio show? Because I've had this brought up quite a few times, and I think the main host, right, no, you're distracting me now. Right, let me just, right, I'm going to have to put. Wait, I'm not, no, because you're distracting me. I can't even read. I'm a terrible reader, right? And then you're distracting me. Come and sit on my lap. I'll give you a cuddle.
No.
All right, can we just be quiet then? Thank you. Right, okay, let's keep going. Right, let's have a look. I've been listening to Dewey Phillips. Come on, we've all heard of Dewey Phillips on the radio. And since I was 10 years old, before Dewey came onto the scene, I was hearing what my parents listened to on the hit parade. It was good, but it didn't connect me with. But around the time, there was a group of white kids who were starting to listen to the rhythm and blues, and Dewey Phillips was playing. He'd play everything, R&B, Dean Martin, Little Richard, the Platters, and all the stuff was a big influence on Elvis too. It sure was. And I love all of that. All of those artists are amazing. Hi, Adrian. I've just got back from getting my kid a bike for his 16th birthday, and Tino is driving me mad at the moment. But we're plodding on, marching on. Anyone else out there, please let me know where you're from. Right, let's have a look. Let me think. Right, so when you think about how diverse Elvis was, I mean, look at the first album. You got country, rhythm, rockabilly, rhythm and blues, everything but rock and roll was the music that was dangerous. Okay, yeah, so the bad boys, the cool boys, the Marlon Brando types were rock and roll. Would you agree with that, guys? The James Dean types. I love James Dean. Right, when you think about how diverse Elvis was, we can never forget that rock and roll was born out of segregation. It was dangerous for us to go down to Beale Street to buy records. Is that true, guys? Yes.
Why do you always do light?
Because I don't know. Because I love Elvis. I am listening to Elvis Country 1971. Great tracks on this. Yeah, we love it. I listen to Elvis all the time. I'm obsessed. Right, there we are. So it was dangerous for us to go down to Beale Street to buy our records. Our parents would have grounded us forever if they had found out. It was totally segregated society. I didn't know about that, actually. Right, let's have a look. Beale Street was black, Main Street, and white. In the middle of all that, Dewey Phillips played a record called That's All Right, Mama. That's All Right, Mama. The first record I ever heard from Elvis. The record that started me off in my career of being an Elvis fan. And I reckon I was 4 or 5 years old when I found that record. And the record player, I've got loads of Elvis stuff, loads of it, Adrian. And the record player, the record player I used to play this old record that I'd found in my dad's cupboard was like this. It would stand up like this, and you would slip the record in through the top and press a little square. It was a Philips radio that had a section for a record. It held these massive, big, fat batteries, giant batteries. I think it was 2 of them. And that is the first time I ever used a record player. I was 4-ish years old. But once I heard Elvis's voice, I was hooked. So I was straight down W.H. Smith's trying to find magazines about Elvis. And I was watching Elvis's movies every Saturday at home in my dad's cafe, because I grew up in a cafe, like a little restaurant. And every Saturday afternoon, we would watch Elvis films, and they played all of them. And I loved all of them. I was so young, I loved all of Elvis's films. It wasn't until I got older then I started to pick out the ones that I thought were the better quality films. So I loved it. And I thought I was Elvis. Yeah, I would do my hair like Elvis. I would dress like Elvis. I would put my collar up like Elvis. I would go to school thinking I was Elvis. I was like 5 years old. Yes.
Can you spiders go first?
Spider, you want me to type spiders?
Yeah.
Right, I'll do it, but only if you're going to promise me you're going to be quiet.
Okay, Mum.
Right, there you go. Do you know what to do? You know what? Yeah? Okay, mate. Right, let's keep going, baby. Right, so just out of interest, now that I've just mentioned that, guys, what made you discover Elvis? What age were you when you discovered Elvis? Was it a friend? Now, I had a friend when I was 5 or 6 years old. His mother was obsessed with Elvis, so we would listen to all her records. I will never forget that friendship with that boy. His name was Paul. So I would go to his house. Luckily, he lived near my house. And his mother had the best Elvis collection ever, the best. She had every one of his albums. And I just remember dancing on his bed to Elvis, 5, 6, 7 years old. Absolutely loved it. What are your memories, guys? Please let me know in the comments. How did you discover Elvis? Was it your friends, your parents? Did you see him on TV? Was it his movies? Please let me know. Was it when he passed away? Right. Let's keep looking. We can never forget. Right. Let's have a look. The first time I heard Elvis was in the second week of July 1954. That Sunday, July the 11th, day after my birthday, because my birthday is July the 10th. I'm going to be 57. In 1954, I got over to my local playground in North Memphis, a very poor neighborhood. There were 5 older boys and in and out of high school trying to get up to the football game. That's how unpopular Elvis Presley was at that point. Elvis was just starting out and nobody knew who he was yet. Now, I've heard this, that Elvis wasn't that popular in 1954. But was it because he hadn't been living there long? Because I know he moved to that area when he was around 13. Is that right? He moved from Tupelo to Memphis around 13. Was it Lauderdale Courts? I know he lived in a few other places as well. You tell me, guys. My first albums were the 40 greatest Elvis hits in concert and all his Camdens and tapes and vinyls. Yes, definitely. 100%. Right, let's have a look. Here we go. Red West, a friend of my older brother. So I didn't know that. So Jerry Schilling's older brother was friends with Red West. And I've done quite a long live stream all about Red West. We know the story where Red West prevented the bullies in the toilet at Hume's High from cutting Elvis's hair. And it's in the movie, the Kurt Russell movie, isn't it? So I've got a lot to say about Red West. Mostly good. But there are things that I don't agree that Red West did, and that is they should not have written that book. I know that there was circumstances on how they lost their job because Vernon felt that they were being too heavy-handed with the fans, and I know that Elvis and Red West would have their differences sometimes, but generally Red West was a brilliant bodyguard and friend to Elvis, and I'm so shocked that he went ahead and wrote that book with the 2 other Memphis Mafia members. Should never have happened. I don't agree that they wrote that book. And I think Red West regretted writing that book. I really do. And I think he carried that with him for the rest of his life. And I don't think he ever accepted that he did that to Elvis, because it happened only weeks before Elvis passed away. And don't forget, the other thing that was happening not long before Elvis passed away was Priscilla was trying to get more money out of Elvis. Yeah, she put a charge on Graceland. So there was a couple of bad things happening to Elvis not long before he passed away. So Red West was naughty, but I also can see the good side of Red West and all the good that Elvis that he did for Red West did for Elvis, and he really did protect Elvis, and he was there in the early years, wasn't he? Right in '56, in those special years, So it's a tough one. Anyway, so right, I've just found out that Red West, Jerry Schilling's older brother, was friends with Red West and knew I played grade school football. He said, Jerry, do you want to play with us? Little kids love to play and the big guys. So of course I said, sure. We get a huddle and I swear to God, I saw the other guys and said to myself, that's the boy from Humes High that sang that song I just heard on the radio. His name was never mentioned. So you imagine this is a life-changing moment. What is FTD, Adrian? Right, so my friend told me, and my friend. Right, here we go. My friend told me, and my friend, he was playing Elvis, so we liked him forever and timeless. Yeah, definitely. Once you get the bug, that's it. Once you're hooked, this is Rio. It's his 16th birthday. He's going off weightlifting now. And then where are you going after weightlifting? Six-a-side. Then he's going to play six-a-side football. And he is 16 today. Happy birthday, Rio. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Rio. Happy birthday to you. And we've been out all day, guys. So he's had a great day. And last night we went for a curry. Did you like your curry, mate?
Yeah.
It's good. So Rio's a happy boy and he's got loads of money. They like the money. Do you like money, Rio?
Still got some
Yeah, oh yeah.
money.
Yeah, you got loads of money coming, mate. Right. Why I knew that? I don't know. He didn't look. Yeah, she does like Elvis, but not like me. She's not like me. She, how can I say it? From the very first day I met her, she knew I liked Elvis. She's not like us guys. She's not a super Elvis fan like we are. No chance. In fact, she probably laughs at me a bit. I've got a twin brother, guys, and he begs me to cut my fringe off. Yeah, he says, get rid of that fringe. And my twin brother has been trying to make me chop my fringe off since I was 5, because I grew my fringe when I was 5. I used to use Brill cream. Have you heard of Brill cream, guys? I would get Brill cream, rub it all in my hair. My hair was a lot softer when I was little. And I would stand in the mirror with a brush, brushing my hair for ages, hoping that I looked like Elvis. All through my teenage years, I was doing the Elvis thing. I would never. Do you know what? People tried to take the mick out of me and tried to embarrass me because I loved Elvis all through the 70s and 80s and 90s and noughties. I loved Elvis, and that's it. And one thing you lot may not know is I was a DJ, a disc jockey for 26 years. So I DJ'd for 26 years, and I played Elvis. Not just Elvis, but Elvis was on my playlist. And sometimes people would come up and laugh at me and go, why are you playing Elvis for? And I'd laugh at them. And do you know what? Whenever I put Elvis on when I was DJing, the dance floor would fill up. Elvis, all rock and roll music would fill the dance floor. All of it. The other music I would play a lot was like Grease, Grease the movie. And I would play some ABBA. But I liked all the rock and roll stuff. I played the Beatles, Tom Jones, and all of it. Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin. I would play it all. I loved it all. But Elvis was always my favorite. Always. Because don't forget, Elvis changed my life. Yeah. As soon as I fell in love with Elvis, my whole life opened up and changed. My personality changed. I became more confident. I became in business. It gave me more confidence when I started running my businesses with my twin brother. So Elvis literally transformed my life, just being part of that. And we all know how that feels, don't we, guys? Anyway, I'm waffling on. I'm trying to read this. So, right, Elvis could see through people. Right, let's have a look. Where are we? Right. What? Right. He didn't look that different. He looked cool. His hair was a little bit longer than the other guys, and he was damn good looking. He reminded me of characters I'd seen in Blackboard Jungle. Do you know what that is, guys? Blackboard Jungle? I don't know what that is. He was like one of the guys that I wanted to look like in Rebel Without a Cause, one of my favorite films with Natalie Wood. Absolutely love that film. The Wild One with Marlon Brando, classic, love it. And I know that Elvis dreamed of being an actor in the same way as Marlon Brando, didn't he? Elvis wanted to be like James Dean, Marlon Brando. Elvis admired all the great actors back then in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and he wanted to be like them. Let's have a look. The Wild Ones with Marlon Brando. Elvis was not the guy you walked up to and slapped him on the back and you became friends because you played football together. Even before he became a star, you kind of paid your dues for the friendship. Within a week or two of playing football with him, the record had gone crazy, and Memphis and a lot of people wanted to be his friend, but he was always nice to me. So that's it. He's obviously referring to That's All Right, Mama, and the way that went round Memphis, and we all know the rest is history. Oh, it's a movie. Thanks, James. How are you, James? Okay, thanks for joining us. So the Blackboard Jungle is a movie. Right, I'm going to look that up, James. Right, okay. Elvis could see through people. He was a deep man and an unassuming way. Elvis was one of the greatest people I knew. He innately knew human nature. So every Sunday we'd play football for hours, and that's how our friendship started. Within a year, he couldn't go out to the movies, so he'd rent them late at night or an amusement park, and I was always welcome to come along to those things. When he bought Graceland in 1957, sometimes I'd get in, and sometimes I would have a right laugh. Okay. That's pretty descriptive of Jerry Schilling. He met him at an iconic time, just as his career was shooting off. I would say before he had become world famous, but he was just about to rocket into fame, wasn't he? So I would say, isn't that just before Love Me Tender, the film? So let's keep reading. So if you've just joined us, guys, I'm reading about Jerry Schilling. Right. Elvis was an extra added attraction at the show. It was mostly a big name, a country lineup of people. I could have cared less about them. I was there to see Elvis. What sticks out in my mind the most is when we walked on stage. It was that damn walk of his. He was like a tiger that had just gotten out of a cage. He picked up that microphone and started dragging it across the stage. He was doing things that hadn't been done yet unless you went down to Beale Street and saw the rhythm and blues artists. Okay, we get that. So we know that Elvis was heavily influenced by the rhythm and blues singers, jazz singers in Beale Street. And he did, I don't know if copy is the right word, but, he would dress like them. He would sing like them. He would move like them. But he had his own style as well. It was Elvis's version of what was happening at Beale Street. And I think the shake rag community really influenced Elvis as well, back in Tupelo. So anyway, let's keep reading. Faith Hope. Those are the rumors. Priscilla was a beautiful woman who men got attracted to. It's not her fault. Beautiful. Hi, Faith. Is it Faith Hope? Nice to meet you, Faith. Please comment. Go ahead and comment. She was very beautiful, and I think every man that come across Priscilla probably thought she was beautiful. And I know that the side topic of today is whether or not Jerry Schilling and Priscilla had an affair. I'm just putting it out there to you guys. You tell me, and I don't know. Let's keep going. Elvis was all along the stage. It was Elvis, Scotty Moore, Bill Black. Tina, just talk quietly, please. Scotty Moore, Bill Black, Scotty's dear friend of mine, and I call him the most gracious guy in rock and roll. Those licks that he played were very creative and very different. I had grown up in a very boring post-war South where everybody did the same thing. Everybody in my school had crew cuts. If you didn't play football, you were pretty out of it. Luckily, I played football. Elvis was like such a breath of fresh air. It was like freedom. And I know what he's saying. Yeah, fair enough. Wasn't bad looking, but not my type. So, I know what Jerry, not Jerry, I know what Jerry's saying in this. He's, look, come on, this is what blew us all away. Elvis was just different, wasn't he? He stood out. When he first was on TV, he jumped out of the screen in the 50s. And even people like the Beatles were just complete, their whole lives were changed when they saw Elvis booming through the radio, booming through the TV screens. It transformed life. It changed the world, didn't it? It changed, like the world was from there to there as soon as Elvis exploded in 56, late 55. So, and he influenced everybody of all ages. Doesn't matter how famous you were or non-famous or rich or non-rich. It's world-changing moment that happened. It all stems from Elvis. It's amazing. I know, Adrian, there's very, very strong views about Priscilla, but I do find her interesting. And I am trying to dig deep and find out the lies that have happened with Priscilla, the stuff that has been said that shouldn't have been said, the things that she did that she shouldn't have done. This has now become part of my channel because I'm trying to get to the truth. And if you look at the name of my channel, which is Elvis Daily Planet, the reason I called it that is because I wanted to do daily news on anything Elvis. I've now added the words searching for the truth, because I do think there's many things that have happened with Elvis where we need the truth. We need the truth. We need to go, right, these are the rumors. This is what Elvis fans think. These are the comments I'm getting. Right, let's start looking at these comments. Let's start finding out what is true or isn't true. Like, for example, I keep getting told that Priscilla was quite unfaithful. Now, I want to know the truth. Was she unfaithful? Who was she unfaithful with? Was it just the dance instructor, Steve Peck? Was it just Mike Stone, the karate guy, Elvis's friend? Or were there many other people? I'm trying to find the truth. All the things that are being said about Elvis, where Elvis is being painted as the bad guy and Priscilla is the good person, I don't agree. I think there's a completely different story. I think we're being spoon-fed a lie, and I think that Priscilla has rewritten history to suit herself. And this has become a big part of my channel, guys. And this particular thing now that I've mentioned with Jerry Schilling and Priscilla Presley, the possibility they may have had an affair more than once, that bothers me. Because you imagine if Elvis knew about it, maybe he did know about it. Maybe Elvis forgave Priscilla for having an affair with Jerry Schilling. We don't know, do we? So I'm trying to get to the truth. Get to the truth. Right, just reading a couple of comments. John Lennon said, before Elvis, there was nothing. Well said, James. So true. So true. And let's keep going. I read that Prissy and Jerry were caught downstairs at Graceland. That's Kate. Hi, Kate. Thanks for joining us. And you're not the only person that has messaged this to me, Kate. I reckon I've had about 20 messages telling me that Jerry Schilling has had an affair with Priscilla, and not just in this decade, over the decades, going right back to the 60s. So I want to know the truth, because it's one thing to sit there and praise Elvis and say, oh, thanks, Elvis. You bought me a house. You gave me cars. You gave me money. You gave me jobs. And to spend 40 years promoting Elvis. But if secretly Jerry Schilling had an affair with Priscilla, now that's wrong. If now, or if in the last 30 to 40 years, they've had affairs on and off, this is wrong. So I really hope it's not true. I really hope it's not true, because I do like Jerry Schilling's personality. Yeah. And I do like, right, see you, happy birthday, mate. And I do like the interviews I see with Jerry Schilling talking about Elvis. He says very nice things about Elvis. He speaks very highly of Elvis. He's very proud of the friendship that he's had with Elvis. But if underlying they had an affair, that all goes out the window to me. It's not good enough. You either are his friend or you're not. That's what I think. Yeah. And even with Tom Jones, if Tom Jones has had an affair with Priscilla, that's wrong. I don't agree with it. I love Tom Jones. He's a brilliant singer. I know he was great friends with Elvis. They had holidays together. But if he had an affair with Priscilla, he's out of order. So, but if he didn't, it's all good, isn't it? Yeah. So, tell me your comments. James, I certainly hope not as well. You know, the worst thing that could happen to me, especially when I was younger, when I was DJing and I was running my discos and nightclubs and restaurants, and I had a lot of friends around me then. And now, if they were trying to befriend my girlfriend at the time, they wouldn't be my friend anymore. You know, and come on, guys, no one wants their best friend going after their girlfriend or wife or fiance behind their back, do they? It's the worst thing you can do. Priscilla definitely had a roaming eye. I agree, James. I completely agree. And I've got, the book Child Bride. I've got it coming in the post. I've read a lot of it online, but it's coming in the post in the next 2 days, and I'm going to go through that and start finding out some facts from Child Bride, the book from Suzanne Finstad, the author, and I'm going to start reading it and start picking out the things that I think are true or not true. I'm going to try and be fair, and when I read that Child Bride book, I'm going to decide for myself using my own common sense what I think makes sense, might be true or might not be true. How about the song, love this one, 20 Days and 20 Nights, Mary in the Morning? Sing it to me, Adrian. Right, where are we? Prizzy, Kate. Prizzy was a nymphomaniac. Maybe. I know this. She liked the good-looking men. She had an eye for the men. Definitely. 100%. She fancied, if someone was fit and handsome and gay and laid on the charm, she would get close to them, wouldn't she? Come on, the dance instructor, the karate instructor, both these people were paid by Elvis to teach her either dancing or karate. She slept with them. Come on, guys. Ain't nice, is it? Elvis is trying to help her because she's bored at Gracelands or in one of their homes. So he pays the best dance instructors you can have. And it is said that she took the dance instructor to the 68 comeback special. And then Mike Stone, who is, no offense, but he's not the best looking man, is he? Yeah. And so he pays them to give her top class karate lessons or dance lessons. And she sleeps with them. Come on. It is said that she was sleeping with Mike Stone for a year before she told Elvis she wanted a divorce. And that was 72. So that means between 71 and 72, she was sleeping with Mike Stone. Well, they got married in 68. In 68, Lisa Marie was born. Well, she had an affair with Steve Peck between 7 and 11 weeks after Lisa Marie was born. So that rules out 68. Well, you think about it, guys. If they got married in 67 and in 71 she was having an affair with Mike Stone, how much happiness could she have had with Elvis in that marriage? 2 years at the most? You work it out, guys. You look at the timeline. That's not a marriage, is it? You get married in 67. A year later, you have a baby, then having an affair. And then by 71, you're running off with the karate instructor. Come on. Are we dumb? Anyway, I know I'm a bit passionate, guys. I'm full of energy and how I come across. But it doesn't make sense, does it? Have you heard that there are 2 Lisa Maries, the book Baby Let's Play House? I've heard about the book, but I haven't read it. Right, James, Mike said to her, why would she drive over an hour to see him at his karate school? Mike said to her, why would she drive over an hour to see him at his karate school? Do you mean Elvis said that? So she was driving for an hour to go and get her karate lessons. Is that what you're saying, James? Right, let's keep going. Right, so here we go. I later saw him perform while peeking through the door at the Chiska Hotel in Memphis. That there were Dewey Phillips radio broadcasts from down in the basement and had a room, and they held 150 to 200 people, and Elvis played there. They served alcohol, so my friend and I couldn't get in. Then in 1956, I saw him play in the Rosswood Park. By then, he was signed to RCA, and he was the #1 performer in America. He was like a primal animal that had even more confidence in being the primal animal. He was more dangerous than ever. He was starting to get huge criticism from religious leaders and political leaders. He was feeling great that people loved his music. But on the other hand, the authorities were trying to take him down. Elvis was going over real big with the black community as well. So we know that story. The older generation just had it in for Elvis. It's all there on YouTube. You can see people being very racist against Elvis's music and saying horrible words about Elvis. And Elvis had a very tough time. And I think this was the build up to this was once he got drafted, because Elvis did sign up for the draft, didn't he, when he was about 18 or something, 17, he signed up for the draft, I think. So when he was called up, this was seen as a way out for Elvis by Colonel Tom Parker to change his image. And Elvis, he could have joined the army as an entertainer and had it easy, but Elvis chose to be like the rest of the guys and just do his basic training, just like the rest of the guys at Fort Hood. And then eventually, when he goes to Germany, he was a regular infant and did his work. And he eventually became a sergeant, didn't he? And he loved his time in the army, but he found it tough. And yes, some say he may have started taking his medication in the army. Priscilla has definitely said it. I've seen her say it in interviews, but she thinks Elvis had been taking his uppers for waking up and for going to sleep in the army. Right. I'm a terrible typer, but I heard Mike Stone said Priscilla was interested in him. That's why she drove to his karate school to hook up with him. Right, okay. Thanks, James. And I heard that Elvis had took Priscilla to a Mike Stone karate exhibition and she fancied him, but she kept it to herself. So she's with Elvis. I think it was during their honeymoon time, so just after the wedding, and she secretly fancied Mike Stone. I read this the other day. It's disgusting. It's so wrong on so many levels. Poor Elvis. And I know that Mike Stone was highly respected because wasn't he friends with Bruce Lee and a few of the other top karate people of the time. So Priscilla was so lucky that Mike Stone was going to teach her karate. You know, we're talking the Rolls Royce of karate teachers, and her thanks is to sleep with him for a year and then to run off with him and then to parade him around. And they were photographed so many times together. I even heard there was an interview with Mike Stone and Priscilla together. You imagine how that felt for Elvis. We know how angry Elvis got about it, and I don't blame him. I think that's one of the cruelest things that Priscilla ever did to Elvis was the Mike Stone relationship. One of the cruelest things. It was really rubbed in his face. And I don't think, Chuck Norris. That's right, James. Chuck Norris. And I think there's one other as well. So I am disgusted by the Mike Stone relationship that she had. Disgusted by it. It's so wrong on so many levels. I personally think they were so unhappy after Lisa Marie was born that there was no love there. And I think they were both being a little bit naughty, both of them. But I think they were just there for Lisa Marie, and they both felt like single people. I believe that. I really believe that. Anyway, before I grew up, Elvis, where I grew up, you never knew a black person. They may come and work in the yard, music brought up before together, more so than religious or politics. Did you see any of Elvis's live shows in 1961? Jerry Schilling says, yes, I saw him in 61 in Memphis. He was much tamer live, but at the same time, much more confident. He had grown as an artist. He looked stronger. It was a classier show. But I have to say that my favorite times with Elvis on stage were in the 50s with all of his rawness and unpredictability. And I know about this. When Elvis comes out of the army, and there's a lot of footage of him coming back on the train. He's coming to the Frank Sinatra special, which was the coming home special that Frank Sinatra put on. And I know that Frank Sinatra's daughter, Nancy Sinatra, met him coming back, and she had a gift for Elvis. Frank Sinatra bought Elvis a silk shirt, and Nancy gave him that. And it's, you know, you got all the footage and the pictures showing them together, and they obviously went on to make films together. Was it 2 films or 3 films? One Speedway. There's one with the Incredible Hulk guy. What's he called? James, what's the Incredible Hulk guy's name? I'm trying to think. But anyway, so you've got Elvis coming back. So he makes GI Blues. He does the Frank Sinatra show, which was a massive success, as we all know. And you know that there had been a bit of beef with Frank Sinatra, because Frank Sinatra had said some bad things about Elvis, saying that he was a bad influence on the juvenile delinquents. So when Frank Sinatra finally did get to meet Elvis, he actually really liked Elvis, and they stayed quite close for a long time. But I know that with Bill Bixby, that's it, James. Thank you, Bill Bixby, and we all loved the Incredible Hulk and the Bionic Man. Come on, and Starsky and Hutch. We all liked the same stuff in the 70s, didn't we? And anyway, as I was saying, so in the 60s, Elvis had tamed his image. He was starting to win over the families and the older generation, and it was a tamer Elvis. And the plan that I do think the Colonel Tom Parker played part of, the plan for Elvis to go to the army and calm his image, it did work. It did work, but unfortunately, I know he did a couple of, I think, 3 very good albums with RCA Victor in the 60s. I think one was called Elvis Presley's Coming Home, I think. Yeah, in 1960, I think. But what I'm saying is that the change of image was good because there was trouble coming, wasn't there? There was trouble brewing. So it actually was the right decision for Elvis to calm. But I will say this. After he made 2 or 3 very good films, like King Creole was amazing. My favorite film. I absolutely loved King Creole. And there's a few others. Actually, Love Me Tender. It's free on YouTube. You can see it in color, all black and white. I actually quite like Love Me Tender, and he plays it really seriously. And I don't think Elvis was ever happy with the Love Me Tender. I've read his interviews. He didn't feel it was right for him. But I will say this. You can see that he's really trying hard to do a good job of it. And then with King Creole, we know that film originally was meant for James Dean, but unfortunately, God rest his soul, James Dean died in the crash. And that role was given to Elvis. And I actually think King Creole was a fantastic film, and it really proved that Elvis could be a brilliant dramatic actor and could be taken seriously. So, but it just wasn't meant to be. So obviously then you go into the 60s, and then Elvis, unfortunately, a lot of the films in the 60s were just too cheesy for him to be taken seriously. Now, we love the films. I loved Elvis's films, all of them, because you get to see a beautiful Elvis looking young and healthy and funny and happy. And I love the films, but he wasn't taken seriously. So when the Beatles come along, unfortunately, for a while, they blew him out of the water. But then you get the 68 comeback special, which turns everything around. The 68 comeback special was amazing. It's, for me, If I Can Dream is my number 1 Elvis song. It's my favorite song, always has been. And he looked fantastic. And then very quickly, 69, he gets into the Vegas shows. And that is just another explosion of success. So in the end, Elvis dwarfed everyone, including the Beatles. Elvis just completely, because of the 68 comeback special and the Vegas success, and all these amazing songs like Suspicious Minds. Just wow, wow. So much fame, but unfortunately, Elvis did grow weary of the Vegas concerts. He had become so unwell, so unwell. He was on a lot of different medications for different problems that they say that were inherent from the fact that that Gladys's parents were first cousins, and they think this could be the reason why Elvis becomes so unwell. And obviously, he was using the tablets to wake up, to go to sleep, to keep him awake. And yes, he was abusing the medication. Come on, we know that, guys. So that's that. Anyway, right, I'm waffling. Let's go back to this. I don't think anybody really understood outside of Elvis what he really was doing. Sam Phillips did. Sam and Elvis spoke the same language. RCA never knew they were lost with what to do with him. And when they signed him, Elvis had a direct and produced himself. Elvis and Sam talked later on. They remained friends, and after he left some records, he'd say hi to Elvis, do your thing. Don't let anybody tell you what to do. Believe in yourself, because you know what you do best. And he always did, didn't he? Elvis always knew how to do things the best way. He was a brilliant music producer, the best. In my humble opinion, Elvis is the most underrated producer in musical history. Good words, Jerry Schilling. I agree. Right. Right, Jerry Schilling. Elvis listened to the Beatles. This will be interesting. Right, let me just read some comments. Elvis at his best, 68 comeback special. 2 right, James. James, how's the diet going? You okay with the keto? You eating that meat? And those low carb veg? Is it working for you, James? Right, let's have a look. I love the film Cairo. Yeah. Stay Away. Love a Little. Yeah, a few of them are good. They are, Adrian. Let's keep looking. In the Ghetto. Any day now. Gentle on My Mind. Yeah, I love In the Ghetto. In the Ghetto is one of my favorite. Yeah, he was in the film Speedway and Clambake. And was that the ones that Nancy Sinatra was in as well? I think it was. I'm not definite. Let's have a look. Elvis was such a talent. Colonel Parker gets too much credit. He sure does. And I'm going to do a live stream on Colonel Tom Parker, and it's going to last a long time. I've got a lot of views on Colonel Tom Parker, a lot, but not today. That's not happening. So anyway, what I'm reading through here, I'm just getting a feel for how Jerry Schilling, how his life was affected by Elvis. So let's just see the bit where he mentions the Beatles. Right, so it was Speedway. Did she only make one film? Are you sure? I thought it was 2, but I could be wrong. But hey, these boots are made for dancing, innit? Right, let's have a look. Elvis listened to the Beatles and liked them and recorded some of their songs. Was Elvis a fan of the Beatles like I was? No. Did he appreciate their music? Yes, the Beatles pushed to meet Elvis. They had tried to meet him a year before. They were the new sensation, Elvis said. And I know Jerry Schilling was there when he met the Beatles. And I think there's 2 pictures showing the Beatles when they met Elvis. And that is it. Because Colonel Tom Parker did not allow any filming of the meeting of the Beatles and Elvis. That is so sad. And I know that they did jam together. And I know that John Lennon jammed with, and so did Paul McCartney. They jammed with Elvis. And I've also read that even after that meeting, that John Lennon would go round to Elvis's house and they would jam together privately. So have you heard that, guys? Let's have a look. The Beatles were in awe of Elvis. It really was obvious. John Lennon told me that the next day the Beatles were just sitting there staring at him. And he said, if you guys are just going to sit there and stare at me all night, I'll go to bed. We've heard that, haven't we? He said that with a sense of humor, and that broke the ice. It was a fun time. Elvis had the habit of putting the TV on, but no sound. He put on music. He would play big Fender bass. You could leave the house and we'd be walking down to Perugia Way where we lived, and you could feel the street vibrating from Elvis's bass. Oh, that's interesting. Paul told me when he saw Elvis with the bass guitar, he knew he was in. Because obviously Paul McCartney played the bass, didn't he? Do you remember if they jammed? So we're talking about the Beatles at the moment. For some of the time, I was in the other room playing Paul with Ringo. So imagine playing Paul with Ringo Starr. Isn't that amazing? And Billy Smith was there playing Paul with Ringo. I like that. That's just funny. Elvis's cousin George Klein was down by the pool talking to Larry Geller. If Paul and John and Elvis jammed, I didn't hear it. I was right next door. I don't think it happened, but I've learned over the years never to say anything happened. And believe me, I wish it would have. No, I've seen interviews. I've seen George Harrison said that they were jamming, but George Harrison said he was off with the Memphis Mafia trying to smoke a joint. That was from George Harrison's mouth. And I'm pretty sure, unless I'm wrong, he did. He went out for a joint, didn't he, James? But I'm pretty sure that Paul and John did jam with Elvis. What do you think, James? Right, I was at the session in New York where Scotty Moore and DJ Fontana played with Paul McCartney, and I talked to him about the time when Elvis met the Beatles. Paul told me that he had recently gotten together with Ringo Starr and George Harrison, and they were trying to remember what went on that night. You've got to remember it was over 40 years ago. All right. Yeah. Okay. So let's have a look. Let me scroll down a bit. So it's a lot of talk here about the Beatles. Right. I never forgot that. Right before we went on stage, someone said, Elvis, George Harrison wants to say hello before the show. And he said, sure. Nobody was with George. He had on a little blue Levi's shirt and Levi's on. He looked a little scraggly, and he came back to meet Elvis. There was some small talk. Elvis was glad to see him. George was a quiet guy, but he had got a big smile on his face. Not surprised, just met Elvis Presley. In the 1960s, Elvis recorded Bob Dylan's Tomorrow Is a Long Time, and he also cut a few other Dylan songs, including Blown in the Wind. I didn't know that. I didn't know Elvis sang Blowing in the Wind. Did you know, guys? Bob Dylan's. Do you know how he first came across the work of Bob Dylan? Right, let's have a look. Any Bob Dylan fans out there, guys? Right, let's have a look. Right, Elvis Presley was really into Jackie Wilson. Yeah. Hello, Kate. You okay? Elvis was really into Jackie Wilson. Let's have a look at that bit then. They became friends, and didn't he pay Jackie Wilson's medical expenses? It was only Speedway. I have the version of that. Okay, thanks, Adrian. Thanks, Kate. So we're doing Elvis was really into Jackie Wilson. They became friends, and he came to the film studio. We saw him play live at the Trip. He was a huge fan of Roy Orbison, and we all love Roy Orbison, don't we, guys? Right. Huge fan of Tom Jones. Come on, we do love Tom Jones, even though if Tom Jones did have an affair with Priscilla, it's a no-no. It's wrong. I don't agree with it. What do you think, guys? I hope it never happened. Anyway, Elvis loved Roy Hamilton. He caught up with him when they were both recording Chips. Right. He loved Aretha Franklin. Of course he did. She was amazing. I think that had something to do with him getting the Sweet Inspirations as his backing vocalist. And I tell you what, you watch the interviews of the Sweet Inspirations talking about Elvis and how kind he was and how he stuck up for them and how well he paid them. And they all say that he was a very sweet, lovely, kind man. And Elvis would refuse to play anywhere unless the Sweet Inspirations were allowed to be his backing singers. And anyone that tells me that Elvis was a racist is talking rubbish. One thing Elvis was not was racist. And the Sweet Inspirations clearly say this in an interview. And he helped so many black artists. He was like that with James Brown. Him and James Brown were best buddies. And many other black artists, many others. Right, let's have a look. I actually saw James Brown front stage in about 1990. I saw James Brown that close. I watched him for 2 hours. He was amazing. Amazing. This is in England, yeah? He loved James Brown. He liked Charlie Rich too. In fact, his record, Mohair Sam, was playing when the Beatles came to visit. Elvis also loved Dean Martin and the huge influence on him. I love Dean Martin. All of the Rat Pack, Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, and the rest of the guys were amazing. And who's that woman that hung around with the Rat Pack that played the policewoman? Do you know, James? A beautiful blonde woman, and she was really close with Sammy Davis Jr. and all the guys. But she had that series in the 70s, and she played the policewoman. What was it called? Do you know, guys? Yeah, Engelbert. I've seen Engelbert's interviews, brilliant interviews. Yes, Angie Dickinson. James, you seem to be like a library. You're full of all the facts. Yes, Angie Dickinson. And she was beautiful. She was stunning. I actually, when I was a little kid, when I was like 10, I used to quite fancy Angie Dickinson. There's a story in your book about All Shook Up being played at Graceland by someone and Elvis strongly asking for it to be taken off. I'm not sure what that is. Yeah, thanks, Kate. She was amazing. She was the only female member of the Rat Pack. Is that correct? Right, let's have a look. All right, so now we're going into the gospel stuff. What's up, mate? All right, we're going to come off that in a minute. Do you want to sit on my lap? Do you want to sit on my lap? Come on, you can sit here if you want. Whoops, you did that yesterday. Ha! I tell you, being like Superman. No. Right, okay. Shirley MacLaine too. All right, okay. I'd like to look that up. I love Shirley MacLaine, so I'd like to look that up. In the garden.
Damn it.
Right, let's have a look. So I got it straight from the horse's mouth. He hated it. So what did he hate? Let's have a look. Right. Right, here we are. When I saw him record How Great Thou Art, it was unbelievable. Everybody would be off playing cards, but I was fascinated by the recording process. I like to hear the musicians tune up. I like hearing the people in the control room. I like Elvis giving direction. I hear this here, and I want their voices here. When Elvis got down to recording How Great Thou Art, which is amazing, beautiful, and we know that he had massive success with his gospel album. Didn't he win 5 Grammys because of his gospel album? Wasn't it his most successful album? And Elvis took his gospel albums very, very seriously. He really felt that he was singing from his soul when he did gospel. And I've read this in interviews, that a completely different side of Elvis came out of him from his heart when he did gospel. He knew it was special. It almost took the life out of him. And when he was done, he looked a ghost white. He looked ghost white. Wow. Yeah. Beautiful. He was a very religious man from a very small child. He loved going to church. Loved it. He was proud to go to church. Proud to sing in church. He always made it clear that he was a Christian. He always carried a Bible. And one of the bad rumors I heard is that Priscilla sold one of Elvis's Bibles. Is that true? How can you sell Elvis's Bible? All right, just turn it down, please. A bit more than that. Thank you. He's so cheeky. Right, so we've gone over an hour now, so I'm going to end it soon. Let's have a look. Let's us pray, yeah. Elvis did a great God. Yeah, I think could love. Yeah. Thanks, Adrian. Yeah. Thanks, Nigel. I agree. Amazing. Literally phenomenal. He was made for gospel. He made for it. It really suited him. I'm a Christian, by the way, guys. Let's have a look. I got it straight from the horse's mouth. Let's have a look. Oh, let's flick through it. Right. Right. So he's talking about the movies now. He's mentioned that he did King Creole because James Dean passed away. And then now he's talking about Love Me Tender. They were all good movies, and the music, with the exception of Love Me Tender. Let's have a look. I'm just trying to skim through it a bit now, guys, because there's a lot here. There's like 10 pages. Yeah, James. He does. I don't think Elvis has ever sung a song badly, to be honest with you, especially gospel. When Colonel Tom Parker fired in the 70s, when Elvis fired Colonel Tom Parker in the 70s, Elvis tried to get a tour together. Everybody was afraid that the Colonel would be back in, and if they moved on it, they were going to be out. Nobody would touch him. I lost my friend at a very early age because of these frustrations with the drugs. The guy wasn't a druggie at all. He was just a creative giant. And the problem with Elvis, he really did think he understood the medication. He have is it called a PDF or PDC? There's a special book that lets you know what all the medications are. And Elvis, because he was very educated, and Elvis was very smart, he would teach himself all the ins and outs of the different medications, and he just thought he knew better. I really believe that. I really believe that Elvis did not think that the things he was taking were harming him. I really think that. And I think when Elvis was really unwell, he was a bit in denial of it. I believe that. So, yeah. Let's have a look. Right, the 68 comeback special wasn't the show that the Colonel had planned. We know about that because Colonel wanted a Christmas special. Come on, that's 68 comeback special. Anyway, guys, I think I'm just going to chat for a bit now. So I was just trying to see, this is an interview from Jerry Schilling, and I was just getting a feel for how Jerry felt about Elvis. And, you know, I know that the topic is, do you guys think that Jerry Schilling and Priscilla had an affair? And I really, really hope it didn't happen, guys. Really do. So do any of you have opinions on it? Do you think it happened? Yeah, is it a PDF? Yeah, a physician's desk reference. Thanks, James. Yeah. And he knew it inside out. He knew it like the back of his hand. And it didn't make it okay, did it, guys? Unfortunately. So I think I'm going to call it a day. And we can just talk about other things other than the topic that is in the title. Anything Elvis is good for me. I really enjoy doing these live streams. They're doing so much better than I expected them to do. And I always say this, I am a genuine Elvis fan from my heart. I'm not trying to create hate for Priscilla. That's not how I work. But I do want to get to the truth. So whenever I choose a topic, I'm always going to be like trying to read between the lines, trying to do some research, trying to do some homework to try and find out the truth. And I don't want to just repeat what everyone else is saying. I don't want to just repeat gossip or repeat things that you've heard before. I want to try and back things up with a little bit of evidence, at least some video footage supporting what people are saying. I don't really want everything to be hearsay. I want to try and get as truthful as possible, which is why if you look at the name of my channel, which used to be called Elvis's Daily Planet, it still is. I've added on a small bit that say that we're looking for the truth, and you guys are helping me find the truth. Yeah, you're right, James. Her actions do speak for herself, and this is what I'm very gobsmacked, because I used to defend Priscilla, guys. I fell for the fairy tale romance, and I believed a lot of all the stuff that we've all been spoon-fed for the last 40 odd years. And it's only been because of subscribers' comments that it made me go, right, I'm going to look into this and try and get to the truth. And that's what I started finding out, all the financial stuff that has gone on to do with Barry Siegel and Priscilla. And then I started learning about the Bridget Cruz trial that's happening as we speak. And then all the money grabbing when they had a divorce, you know, and where Priscilla has gone back for more money and more money in the 70s. And you've got their divorce papers now that you can find online. They're all, and they've been on quite a few of the high-profile Elvis channels like Priscilla, Presley Mania, etc. And you can read the divorce settlement that they had. You can also read the papers that show how she kept going back for more money, and even that she put a lien on the Graceland property weeks before Elvis died. So when I started discovering all these different facts, when I started learning about the different affairs that Priscilla has had, I changed my mind about Priscilla. I'm sorry to the Priscilla fans who have fallen for this beautiful love story that didn't happen. And if you watch any documentary or biography or film, we're all being tricked into believing this story is that it keeps being told again and again. This story is being repeated everywhere. You go on YouTube and you find any documentary about Elvis and Priscilla, and it paints Elvis as the bad guy and Priscilla as the victim. And that's not right, guys, because that isn't the truth. Elvis was not the bad guy. I would say Elvis was the victim and Priscilla was the bad guy. I would say that. I would reverse it. And I do believe that Priscilla, slowly over the last 40 odd years, has rewritten history to suit her narrative, to suit her story. And I don't like it. And I feel that Elvis has been wronged by Priscilla. I really believe that. And I'm not trying to make you guys hate Priscilla. I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to say, guys, that the story that we have been fed was a lie. It isn't the truth. And the only way I can convince you of the truth is if you guys do some research and look into it yourself, guys. Even the Priscilla movie, it was so unfair on Elvis. It was so cruel on Elvis. It really did harm to his legacy and to his image. It really did make Elvis out to be this abusive, angry, unfaithful person that controlled Priscilla, which is so untrue. So untrue. Elvis was not like that. That Priscilla film was all about Priscilla and making Priscilla look good. And we know damn well that Priscilla should not have gone ahead with that film, especially because she knew Lisa Marie Presley did not want that film, that Lisa Marie Presley had written to Sofia Coppola begging her to not make that film. And she still went ahead and made it. And Priscilla was executive producer of that film. And not just that, Lisa Marie passes away, God rest her soul. And what does Priscilla do after she passes away? She goes around the world promoting the movie, which is just madness because she knew Lisa Marie didn't want it. It is so wrong on so many levels. And she starts a possible lawsuit against Riley Keough because of against Riley Keough because Lisa Marie had altered the terms of the trustee and wanted Priscilla removed as trustee, and Barry Siegel, by the way, but he'd already dropped off anyway. Lisa Marie wanted Benjamin, Riley, and Harper and Finley to be the trustees of Graceland, and Priscilla tried to stop that. Come on, guys. It's too much. It's too much. I'm so upset with that Priscilla film, which was absolute garbage. It was a rubbish film. Rubbish. Terrible. So let's have a look. When I read the interview given in 73, she was a mean-spirited to say the things about Mike Stone. And if you know what, if you look at some of the early interviews, James, Priscilla does say things she shouldn't say. And I know that the interviewers drag it out of her. So Priscilla will be there going, oh, Elvis is great. He was amazing. Everyone loved him. He was a superstar. But he could be unfaithful. She would do all that rubbish. But then the interviewer, like people like Barbara Walters, would say, yeah, but was he controlling? Was he abusive? And were you stuck at home and left alone? Was he constantly unfaithful? Did he not have sex with you once the baby was born? And Barbara Walters would ask those horrible questions, but Barbara Walters wasn't given all the facts. She would then, Priscilla was playing her. So she was turning it around. Barbara Walters was asking the questions, but then Priscilla was acting like she was forced to answer these questions. But does Priscilla say that she had affairs? Does Priscilla say they were hardly even talking? When Elvis was going off and having girlfriends, Priscilla and Elvis were hardly even on talking terms. They were there for the baby. Are we told that? Does she talk about the affair that she had with Steve Peck in '68? She doesn't. So Elvis was the victim. Guys, he wasn't anywhere near as bad as the public image that we are being spoon-fed. I keep saying it, spoon-fed, in drips and drabs over the last 45 odd years, whatever it is. It has been a complete whitewash of Priscilla's image and very unfair to Elvis. And books like The Child Bride, the reason that book is so successful is because finally the Elvis fans get something that says, oh, maybe we weren't told the truth. Maybe there is a different story. Maybe there's another narrative. Maybe Priscilla has rewritten history. Yeah? Rewritten the truth to suit herself. And that is why Child Bride, everyone's talking about it. Even now, it was made in 1997, that book, Child Bride, by Suzanne Finstad. And people are all talking about it now, every day. Because people are going, we weren't told the truth. Something else did happen. Elvis wasn't as bad as everyone has been told. So I'm quite passionate about it. But I'm not trying to stir hate. I'm trying to get to the truth. I just want to know the truth. I want Priscilla to be interviewed. I want her to sit down so that us fans together can ask the right questions, the questions we want answers to, about her unfaithfulness, about the financial things that happened, about the divorce settlement, about the things with Barry Siegel, and where they tried to take over the company behind Lisa Marie's back, where they tried to take control. We need to ask these questions. Why she sued her own daughter for control of Graceland after Lisa Marie, her own granddaughter, after Lisa Marie passed. We want answers to the big questions. We don't want the whitewashed interview that Piers Morgan gave. That interview that Piers Morgan gave was wrong because he didn't ask the right questions. He just brown-nosed her. He basically did this to her. He did this. It was so wrong. I like the fact that Piers Morgan asks tough questions in his interviews. But I tell you now, he was very soft on Priscilla. And if Piers Morgan ever watches this, I want to say to you, Piers Morgan, why were you so soft with Priscilla? Why didn't you ask the questions that the fans wanted answers for? That isn't your usual style. Why did you be so soft with Priscilla on that interview? Why? Please, Piers Morgan, why? Explain it to me because I don't get it. Because I have watched Piers Morgan interview thousands of people and he rips into them tough and hard. He asks the questions. But Priscilla sits there with her cute little smile and he's too scared to ask her any serious questions. Madness. I don't get it. It makes no sense to me. Right, let me just read some of the comments. Elvis had an affair with Suzanne Heading. Yeah, I know about that. Who was a single mother. The rumors of Elvis not wanting to touch women who were mothers is bogus. Very well said, Nat. Hi, Nat. Nice to meet you. Thanks for joining in. Yes, I agree. Elvis did have affairs with women that had had babies. So when we were told by Priscilla that Elvis had said that he wouldn't sleep with a woman that had had a baby, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. It's another retelling of the truth and rewriting of history. The truth is, the reason they weren't having sex because Elvis and they'd fallen out of love, and they both were having affairs, and they had double lives. That's the truth of it. Elvis didn't want to sleep with Priscilla. Priscilla didn't want to sleep with Elvis because their relationship was over. Over. Thanks, James. Yes, I know about Lisa's book, and it's named after a gospel song that Elvis sang, but also a gospel song that Lisa Marie also sang with Elvis as a duet that she redid. Please tell me the name of it because it's left my head. The name of the new book that Riley Q and Lisa Marie Presley have jointly made together. Please tell me the name of it. It's gone from my head. Let's have a look. Why did Elvis marry her? Marty said he didn't want to. He was definitely pressured into the marriage. And don't forget, James, we know the conversation that Red West recorded with Elvis. Obviously, they'd fallen out because Vernon had sacked them. But in that conversation, Elvis clearly says, and you can find it on YouTube, he clearly says he was railroaded into that wedding, into that marriage. So you guys, if you want to watch that conversation, just go on YouTube, type in Red West conversation with Elvis. It'll come up, and it's very interesting. It's quite a long conversation, and I don't think Red West should have recorded it. I think that was a bit naughty, but it's very interesting, and it says a lot about how Elvis felt about marrying Priscilla. And I've read Mike Edwards' book. Unfortunately, I get infuriated about Mike Edwards because he had sexual feelings towards Lisa Marie when she was a child. So he's in my bad books. So wasn't he the boyfriend that she had after Mike Stone, or was it Robert Kardashian? I think it was Mike Stone, Robert Kardashian, and then Michael Edwards. Does that sound right to you? And I think after Michael Edwards, she had a bit of a fling with Richard Gere. Didn't she then move on to Marco Garibaldi then? Does that sound right to you guys? Yes, Where No One Stands Alone. That's it. Thanks, Tracy. Hi, Tracy. Thanks for joining in. And Joe Esposito was another winner. What do you mean by that, James? Elvis had to bail him out. Oh, right, okay, I didn't know that. So Elvis bailed out Joe Esposito, is that correct? I know that all of the Memphis Mafia were unfaithful to their wives. I know about that. They all admit it openly in their interviews. Oh, right, okay. It's a shame, really, because if all the key members in the Memphis Mafia, they speak so highly of Elvis, and they really did love Elvis, and I do think they regretted anything bad they did towards Elvis. But they did do things that were wrong. They weren't as true friends as they should have been. The one I feel sorry for, actually, is Billy Smith, because I don't see what Billy Smith did wrong to Elvis, but he has been treated like he doesn't even exist, almost never mentioned, and I think that's wrong. I think Billy Smith was a great cousin to Elvis, a great cousin, and was really there for Elvis. You even see Billy Smith would cut Elvis's hair. You got these pictures going way back. Billy Smith did truly love Elvis. Now, I don't know everything about Billy Smith. You guys might have some comments on him. But to me, he's an innocent person in all of this. All of it. So I'm not sure who Diamond Joe is, Tracy, but I will look that up. Yeah. And I've seen it in interviews. Lisa Marie on interviews has clearly said that Michael Edwards was disgusting and sick. She said it many times, and I agree. Yeah, I need to look. Do you know what? I need to look into Joe Esposito, James. I don't know enough about him. Didn't they meet in the army? Is that right? I'm pretty sure they met in the army. Mary, hi Mary, thanks for joining in. All I know is that Lisa Marie told Howard Stern in an interview that she was molested by Edwards and that she hated him and wrote the song about him called Idiot. It's pretty intense. Now, Mary, I've watched that Howard Stern interview. I'll tell you what, I do not like that interview. I think Howard Stern was disgusting. He was disgusting. The way Howard Stern spoke to Lisa Marie was so wrong on so many levels. I'm surprised she didn't walk out the room. She was very young and quite naive. She shouldn't have been in that interview. And I do remember that she mentioned Michael Edwards. But Howard Stern, I don't know what you guys in America think of Howard Stern, but I tell you now, when I watched that Lisa Marie interview he did with her, which is way back, probably in the 90s, yeah, I was disgusted. I do not like the way he spoke to her. It was degrading. Do you guys know about that interview? I'm sorry, I don't like to speak bad of people, but that interview, I only watched it a few days ago. I wanted to turn it off. It made me feel sick. Such a lovely, sweet girl, Lisa Marie, and she just put up with it. And maybe then it was cool to be on the Howard Stern show, but nah. This is what I think of Howard Stern, guys. He's a no-no. Lamar Fike, yeah, okay. Now, I know Lamar Fike, James, was a caring guy, but I don't like the way he would speak about Priscilla's age. And even Lamar Fike, if you listen to how he speaks, he makes Elvis out to be some kind of paedophile. I don't like it. I don't know if you've seen that interview, James, but I just do not like it. And the truth is, when Elvis first met Priscilla, they were just good friends. Elvis wanted someone to talk to, someone to pour his heart out to. Elvis wanted someone that he could sit with that was speaking English in Germany. And obviously he had lost his mother. And Lamar Fike is there saying, oh my God, what are you doing? You're going to get arrested. You're going to go to jail. I didn't like that part of the interview, and he has repeated it more than once, James. So did you know about that, James? Right, let's have a look. Yeah, Kate, I agree. Elvis didn't want to touch Priscilla because she slept with a dance instructor 6 weeks after Lisa Marie was born. Yes, I agree. That's the reason, not the bull that were told that he didn't want to sleep with a woman that's had a baby. It's just rubbish. Yeah, Mary, he is creepy. He is. And James, Howard Stern is a dirtball. Yeah, the 2003 interview is worse. Is that right, Nat? Nat, where are you from, by the way? Thanks for joining in. Nat TV 22. Right, I agree, but they were kind of laughing about. Yeah, they were laughing about it. I know it was all done in humor and it was funny, ha ha, but no. He was saying sick stuff to her. I don't like it. Lamar Fike helped contribute to Albert Goldman's book. He sold out Poor Elvis too. From the snippets I've seen about Lamar Fike, Tracy, I think you're right. But I still need to watch more interviews. Yeah, I know Billy's got a YouTube channel. I do watch it, and his son's in it, and his wife's in it, and I do watch it. And he seems to me like a genuine guy. Come on, he knew Elvis better than all of them, didn't he? He knew Elvis right from the beginning. So, right, tell Priscilla she should go look at herself. Priscilla is no saint. Priscilla hurt Elvis's life a lot, and shut up. And right. Is that T? What's your name, T? Thanks for joining. Now, I know I've read all about the relationship with An-Margret. Was it on Viva Las Vegas? Was it in 63, 64? And they did suit each other. Come on, she was the female Elvis. She was stunning, beautiful, talented, gifted, and they really did hit it off like fireworks. And she truly did love Elvis. They were a match made in heaven, but I will say this. I think Elvis didn't want to be with a career woman. And I've also heard the story that when she got married, Elvis met her backstage and said to her that he still loved her, which is sweet. But An-Margret, being a decent woman, just said, I'm sorry, Elvis, but I'm married. But I don't think Elvis ever stopped loving An-Margret, but I don't think Elvis was going to settle with a career-minded girl. I don't think, a superstar like An-Margret, was Elvis going to be happy with her traveling the world, making movies, singing, doing shows in Vegas. I don't think so. From Argentina. Hello, Argentina. I'm in southwest UK near Bristol. He pulled out a Goldman's book because he saw where it was going. Right. Tell Priscilla she should go. Oh, I said that. All of them sold out in the end. When Elvis died, this is M. Hi, M. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to the family. Let's have a look. All of them sold out in the end. When Elvis died, they all needed money. Even An-Margret was mad about the books, saying that the books were so damn mean after how good Elvis was to them. Yeah. Thanks, Mary. Yeah. I agree. Those books, there was no need for them. And do you know what? When I watched the Memphis Mafia interviews, and there's loads on there, you got the good bits, but they still bring up all the negative stuff. I don't like it. They bring up the unfaithfulness, the drugs, the bad temper, the fact that Priscilla was so young, and the partying and the partying that went on in the different homes. I just don't like it. And they all boast about how they were all unfaithful, but also regret it. And they try to blame Elvis for that. So I'm not a massive fan of the Memphis Mafia. I'll be honest with you guys. A friend is a friend. A true friend will never stitch you, never hurt you, never do anything behind your back, and will be there for you in bad times. That is a good friend. And I've got one in heaven called Nick. God rest your soul, Nick. A true friend will never stitch you. Never. Let's have a look here. Everybody use right. I think Marty doesn't pull any punches. You are correct. Annie wouldn't have worked out. Yeah, I think that, James. Right. Tracy. Anne would not have given up her career. That's right, Tracy. She's so amazing. I watch her interviews, An-Margret, even today, and she's amazing. She is so decent and honest and loyal and faithful. She was the best friend for Elvis. She gets a 10 out of 10 for me. Her one mistake is that when she was having her affair with Elvis, he was married. No, he was with Priscilla. Not married, sorry. He was with Priscilla. But, they weren't really, were they a proper couple, Priscilla and Elvis, in 1963, 64? Were they getting on? Were they proper lovers? Who knows? The book by the Wests really hurt Elvis bad, and it was wrong, and they were doing the same. Yeah, so it's the tell-all book. Yeah, and that book, James, came out a few weeks before he passed, didn't it? So he was clearly upset, and there's many interviews that say that Elvis was gutted that book came out, absolutely gutted. Elvis and Am were good for each other, and they loved each other. Yeah, Teresa, I agree. There was true love there, 100%. Teresa and Zena, they both were honestly generous, and people took advantage. Millions of people took advantage of Elvis. Millions. It is amazing when all of them were near death. Sonny, Red, all cry saying they loved Elvis and they hoped they would see him in heaven. I know, I've seen the interviews. But guys, you dance with the devil, innit? That's the problem. True friends don't do all that. You did things that were unfair to Elvis, that he didn't deserve. He was so generous to the Memphis Mafia on so many levels with their families and their homes, cars and money and so many more things. He was so supportive. Elvis was really supportive. And you could talk to Elvis. Elvis would go into all these different close friends that he had. And he was an ear for them, and he would listen to their problems. He wanted to help. He would even help them with all their medical problems as well. Elvis was so good to his friends and family. It's ridiculous just how good he was. So anyone that turned on Elvis are out of order. Out of order. Yeah, she is. She's beautiful. I love that scene where she jumps in, where she pushes Elvis into the water. Absolutely love it. My little 7-year-old girl, the song "The Lady Loves Me." Yeah, my 7-year-old girl loves it. Absolutely, when she laughs her head off when Elvis gets pushed into the water. So.
I can't skip.
Yeah, I agree, Teresa. So we could go on and on. So I want to actually do a live feed, going through all the 33 movies. That'll be fun, wouldn't it? Okay. Well, thanks, guys. There's 28 of you on at the moment. That's a lot of people. For me, the live feed's still quite a new thing I'm doing, guys. I'm still getting used to it. I know you got Tino, my lovely, beautiful 4-year-old son, who just is used to me doing them now. But we do, when I finish now, I'll take him out. We're going to go walk the dogs, and we've got to drive into town in my 1967 camper van as well. I believe that Anne was shocked at Elvis' quickie marriage, and she and her boyfriend married 7 days later in Vegas too, and she wasn't even wearing a wedding dress. Yeah, I heard that they got married very quickly after Elvis got married. So yeah, there was a reaction, wasn't there? Come on, we know, guys, they should not have got married. We know that. But if they didn't get married, there'd be no Lisa Marie. So it is what it is. Anyway, I really enjoy all your comments, guys. Your comments are teaching me stuff. Just in this live stream alone, I have learned so much. All of you are telling me it's all going in here. And the more I learn, the better. Because when I talk about Elvis, I want to be factual. I want to know what I'm talking about. And I won't get there without you guys teaching me. So please comment. So if you watch this live stream later or tomorrow or another day, please give me information. Who's next? What for tomorrow? I do have a topic for tomorrow, but I'm going to surprise you all. And so today was Jerry Schilling and a bit Priscilla. So thanks, guys. I'm going to go. Thanks, James. And all of you, thank you. Most of your names have disappeared, but I can see Kate and Teresa. And let me see if I can scroll up. We've got Nat. Let's scroll up. My PC. Do you know what? My PC hasn't cut out. It hasn't cut out. It's the first day that my signal has not disconnected. Now, all the names have disappeared. But thanks, guys. I wish you well. Thanks for joining in. We've had loads of fun. Thanks, James. And you know, James, I always love your comments. I look forward to them. They're very clever comments. All of you guys, your comments are amazing. Tino, you going to say goodbye? Tino, thanks, Adrian. He's not listening to me. Tino, we're going to go out now, mate. Okay, after 3. Okay, we're going to give you a wave. Bye, guys.